Hello everybody, welcome to the interview with Mr. Wong.
Okay,
Is there anything you want to say before we start the interview?
No, man, I'm excited to talk about whatever we're going to talk about. We talked about maybe some video game conversations and stuff like that. So I've been pondering. So that's good. So I'm ready for your questions and our discussion.
Well, that's great.
Okay.
First thing, how is being an esports coordinator for esports different from being like a sports coach for regular sports?
I think one of the things that was that's different for me is I have a background in like more traditional sports, and so like I've coached varsity baseball, varsity basketball, softball. I mean, flag football. I've coached so many sports. Since I'm not familiar with some of these games and like playing esports, I'm not as familiar with those type of rules and how you'd coach them. But that's where the city's come in and does a really good job with their coaches, and Mr. Price did a phenomenal job, so it's been awesome. I get a chance with these sports, being just kind of the coordinator, to get a chance to learn more than as I would if I was like a regular coach, just because I don't know as much about like Rocket League, League of Legends, some of these other games. I know a little bit about Smash Bros from last year. And
Mario Kart.
I'm good at Mario Kart. Maybe not on the Switch. I got to practice that a little bit more. But Mario Kart on the Wii, on the first Wii, I'm probably the best Mario Kart Wii player in this building.
You're talking to someone who is quite literally a god at Mario Kart.
On the Wii?
On Switch, but I also played a lot of the Wii U one.
I'm just saying, on the Wii one,
we'll have to do a match sometime.
I'm down. I was playing that game on the Wii before you were born, probably. So
if anybody wants to donate a Wii to the school to have me and Mr. Wong do a match,
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm down. Okay.
We will record that and we will post it on the channel.
Be awesome. Anytime, my man. Okay.
Why did you decide to become the esports coordinator?
It was part of Mr. Price's responsibilities, and so when we took that over, but even last year when I was the athletic director, esports was kind of under athletics, but Mr. Price did such a great job of running it, so that was one of the things that Mr. Price and I both agreed was super important to the school and a top priority. So I wanted to step in and make sure those things would happen and keep our relationship with the city of Maricopa doing great. So
you would consider esports one of the more important things?
It should be, yeah.
I'm honestly really happy about that.
It should be. And so that's why last year we ran it for so long. This year we'll run it from after fall break through the rest of the year. So we have 3 quarters, and no other sport goes 3 quarters. So it is our longest running season, if you will, on campus.
You guys hear that? After fall break is when esports will be starting, so you can finally stop harassing me about that.
That's right. So you guys will still have all the access to the city things. It'll still be managed by the city. Those fees will go there, but we'll have the room set up. It's going to be exciting. So I'm excited for fall break, and then particularly after fall break when we get esports up and running, and it should be pretty cool. And then all the coaches will be City of Maricopa esports coaches this year, so they'll come in every single day to work out with you guys.
We can add any video game on the Switch or the Xbox or PC into the lineup for the esports.
What about other consoles like Super Nintendo? So like the old school systems. I would do from PlayStation 1, I would do NFL Blitz. From PlayStation 2, I would do Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005. Be interesting to see some old school Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo or on a Sega Genesis system here.
Actually,
I'd love to play Tecmo Bowl on Super Nintendo or Genesis, regular Tecmo Bowl on regular Nintendo.
That is possible. I haven't checked the lineup for but I know that the Switch has the ability to play stuff from the NES. Yes, NES.
Some games on the Nintendo eShop online. I've got some of those. I download some of those things. So yeah.
Yep.
I'm into retro stuff a lot, so
if you
I would add a Super Mega Baseball League on Switch.
But back to my question, if you could add any video game available on Switch, Xbox, or PC to the esports lineup, which one would it be and why?
I'd love to see a sports title, especially if there's a lot of kids at school that have interest.
Like a Madden or something?
Like a Madden or an NBA 2K, like that, because that's what a lot of kids play, and so or MLB The Show. One of those things where the sports, because I think there's a lot of cool things in those games. That's what helped me kind of understand games like traditional sports a little bit better by playing those games growing up, because you do have to think about strategy. You do learn a lot about game management.
So you would say that these video games are accurate resources for, real life?
Yes. I shudder to say it, but I'm super glad that I spent so much time in college playing. And I'd play like on franchise modes or season modes, so like you had to manage budgets. So there was like, I would approach games even at a young age. Like one of my favorite games back in the day was SimCity on PC, like the old, like when SimCity was just from like, when it was just from the very top, and like you zoned residential and commercial, but you saw that
I bring so much nostalgia.
You had to build streets, but then they even had SimCity. Then they had SimCity 2000. Then they had SimCity 3000, and then they had SimCity 4 Rush Hour Edition. So that gets into city engineering, civil engineering, and like you had to manage utilities, traffic, taxes, pollution. You got all these notifications. So it really was a really good example on kind of like real world considerations and all the different perspectives that you need for people. So those are the games that I grew up playing. So like if it was a sports game, I'd play franchise mode so that I'd have to balance budgets within managing that team going throughout the season. Ranking and drafting players, things like that. It's okay. He's a good little. I bet Mr. Hunt and I would probably throw down on some old school video games from time to time. But yeah, I learned a lot from playing video games, particularly sports game, and it did help me as a coach. It did help me as an AD, just on getting some virtual practice on like franchise modes in those sports games. So I think that'd be a cool thing for kids to consider for esports too, is getting into their developing a program. So that's
developing a program. As a video game developer myself, as one who's been stuck in, well, development limbo, I would say other words, but they're not school appropriate.
It's alright, you can always go back and edit. Okay.
That's why I said limbo. But anyways, as someone who's in game design, I will confirm that a lot of these people who think like video games are like crafted a certain way and like, oh, this isn't good because this happens. It's just kind of like a bug in the system where it's just it's natural. It happens. You have to bug test. You have to fix these glitches and all that. And some games will get the chance to get updated. Others just won't.
Which is a unique thing for your world. Like back in the day, we just had cartridges, right? So like if there was something defective with the cartridge, like you couldn't really do anything about it. Now you guys have software updates. And then the other cool thing, well, I don't know if it's cool or not, but the other thing that's really different about thinking about the consumerism behind video games is back then if you were gonna sell like Super Mario 3 for like regular Nintendo, super huge game, you're making money on just selling that cartridge and then the Nintendo Power magazines, things like that. But now new games have in-game purchases.
Oh, it depends on the game.
Yeah, but you can make now companies and video game companies have an opportunity to make continuous amounts of money off the same title and keep enrolling.
Stuff like Fortnite,
exactly. Yeah. So and things like Super Smash Brothers, like the
DLC characters, the DLC stages,
all the upgrades that we have for esports here done by the city. I mean, those are several $100 upgrades to each one of those systems just for those additional characters and tracks.
It's not really hundreds of dollars. It's more just like the battle passes may cost like. I think it was like $20 for both. Like it's like 40 per console. So overall at the end it would be like hundreds, but individually it's more just like $40
for the upgrades that we have.
Yeah,
it's a lot more than that. To tell you that.
I can definitely tell you that that I bought the DLC characters.
So I'm just saying with all the stuff they have on there. That's what
I bought like all the DLC characters.
Continuation. Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Hunt.
Mr. Wong.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I keep on confusing.
It's alright.
It happens.
It's alright.
So, Mr. Wong. Well, obviously, I'm sorry, it's been like 2 days since we last recorded.
It's okay, we talked about what games, what I like to bring in, what I like about being a sports coordinator, those things like that. So that's what we talked about the other day.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I think I remember like one of the questions I had. What would you say is something that, like, if you had to add any console, what would you add?
At any console at our school?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Maybe two things. Like a PlayStation 4 with the VR. Unless the VR can go with PS5. I don't know how VR and PS5 work. I don't know enough about PS5s to know that. Or an Oculus. Like, I think the VR stuff is really cutting edge, and there's a lot of VR educational things out there as well. So like some sort of VR.
We could do VR with the computers.
But like with the headset.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. So I would like to see some sort of VR thing in here that we can use not only for video games but for like exploring. And I think that's kind of what I envision the future of people have like Oculus style masks or whatever, and that's what their work environment's going to be like. So they actually will be like looking like they're in an office, be able to type like they would be someplace virtually, and like their coworkers could be avatars or something like that.
That sounds like a dystopian nightmare.
It's not far away, my man. Like, isn't there already like online worlds where people are like avatars and they can already?
You mean like VR chat?
I don't even know. I don't know. What's VR chat?
It's like it's something you described where people can talk to each other.
But it's like other digital characters.
Yeah.
Sounds like an interesting way for people to have a different identity. So
personally, I see it as a dystopian nightmare in that that everything will be on the VR headset, and everybody will be everything will be on the VR headset, and everything will be on the internet. So much to the point where people don't actually go out anymore and go do life because they can just go on the VR headset.
It's gonna be interesting for sure. But yeah, those things, obviously the technology is getting really close to being there already. So yeah. Something like that's coming. So hopefully folks are responsible about it. But I'd like to see some sort of VR system.
Yeah, for what could be the final question, but knowing us, we're probably going to evolve into a side conversation.
Okay, that's all right.
Out of every year of esports, which would you say was the best?
Well, it's a low sample size, obviously, because I know that you guys had esports last year. I don't know what it was like the year before I got here. So like the COVID year, what was esports? Did you guys have esports?
There was esports. I wasn't there though.
So, so you weren't there, and I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know about the first year. Then we had last year, which I thought was a really successful year where we learned a lot but had a lot of fun. It was great. And put on some events. And then this year, we're going to start up after fall break. So who knows? But the goal, obviously, is that this year should be hopefully better than in the years past. But it should be getting better every single year. But I thought last year was great, so we just need to get started back up this year. So I'm excited for after fall break.
And I just realized another question. Do you think it's possible that we could get more like tournaments and events this year, as like something similar to like a sports team, for example?
So that's going to be up to the students involved in esports, and so being able to get out there and do marketing and plan those events and things like that. So everything here, we want to be really student driven. So if that's what people in the program want, then the people in the program can help develop and plan those things, and then we'll help execute on our end.
Because like my idea for esports is that like we can have the esports program, but we can also have like a separate esports like team that can go like to tournaments and stuff like that.
And that's why we want to get into more broadcasting of the game, so we can kind of have a farther reach and reach out to people. I will tell you that there's another school that wants to start their own league that we've been in touch with. So there is at least another school that we will be competing directly against this year. So I can't remember what their name is. They're a relatively new school, but they reached out. They reached out to
where are they?
They're up in the valley someplace, but they reached out to the city of Maricopa looking for any other charter schools that were interested in doing esports in the same games that we do. So it's pretty much the same stuff that we do, and so yes, I do envision those things in the future.
Because I'll be honest. I want to be able to leave this school confident in the esports team.
That's awesome. You have pride in wanting to build something. So.
I want to leave the school confident in the esports team, knowing that they're going to be able to go to competitions and be treated as if they're a sports team. Because that's the one thing I've noticed around this school is that like out of every team, it seems that everybody universally is going like esports isn't a team. Like
I haven't heard that, so I don't know who's saying that.
But I've heard it a lot, especially in topics relating to like, because like for example, I don't think we're treated the same as like a normal sports team.
It's a different thing. We're still trying to learn what esports is all about. It's since we don't have like competition directly with other schools, and we're working with the city, and they do a really good job of finding events and things like that for us. But obviously, it's a newer sport. across the board, and we're one of the few.
Well, it's
schools
not
to do
really
it, so.
newer. It's more new for schools, not new in general, because it's been around for like a while.
Right, but football's been around in high schools for 150 years. So like, you know what I'm saying?
It's
So, like,
relatively newer, but it's still not new.
no, but it's relatively new compared to what most people think about, and so
It's
that's why you guys are gaining the awareness of both.
It's just like another thing is that like I think most people have a bias against esports because anytime you mention sports team, they're like esports can't be a sports team because esports is not an actual sport. I'm like, how?
I think most people, when they have biases, they're really not informed. So
It's like
so
esports. It's like esports is also a sport, you know?
Absolutely.
Like just because it's not physically motivated doesn't mean it's not a sport. I mean, people still train. People still practice. And I argue they practice more. I imagine they practice more than some of these football players.
There's a lot. So, but I understand what you're saying. I think people get more awareness, and that's why I want to do more broadcasting so people can showcase their skills.
It's like unlike football, for example, where you only really have success if you're like born a certain way and you can fit into a certain mold. With esports, you have to train hard. You have to know everything about it just to even get a chance at success.
You gotta work hard on anything to have a chance. Yeah. That's awesome. It'll get there. You're doing a great job of building it up. So I'm excited for after fall break to get going.
Alright. And everybody, this is a word from someone who's experienced in the esports team and was here since last year. We had a lot of fun last year. I was there for a good chunk of it, and I remember teaching Mario Kart to everybody because until Miss Ron got into the program because we didn't have an actual Mario Kart teacher. I remember how that felt, and it felt nice. So take it as someone with experience. Don't just see esports as just a video game club. See it as an actual sport. We try hard. We practice.
And they have college programs that have this stuff now, so there will be scholarships.
For example, Grand Canyon University. We took a field trip last year, and they have an esports scholarship.
It's awesome.
So don't see esports as just a video game club. See it as an actual sports team.
With athletes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Our athletes aren't physically built, but mentally. They
just as important, if not more important. Probably more important.
Because at the end of the day, esports is a mental game, not a physical. You can have as much skill as you want, but if you know how to read your opponent, and if you know how to counter their strategy, then you win.
Sounds just like regular sports. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
So I think that's going to conclude our interview.
Come out and join us at esports starting right after fall break.
I'll be there. Leo will be there. Thomas will be there.
And I'm down for challenges on Super Tecmo Bowl, Blades of Steel.
Challenge me in Mario Kart. I can guarantee that you'll lose.
Mario Kart Wii.
Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 8. Challenge me. I can guarantee that you will lose.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah!
Good job, buddy.